David's convinced he's gonna be able to lay in his underwear all day and finish the school year out on his laptop.
April 6th,
Is that for sure? I stated?
no, that's the, oh, you said Oregon, I'm thinking of US students, at least the 6th,
Yeah.
and then I go by.
There's. I got a video of Dave from some. Those people just falling shit out of their doors, they're one of them.
Seriously? Are they letting them back on campus?
Well, you can get stuff. To get stuff. Yeah. Maddie Lavin sent him a video, she's watching people like they're taking everything out. They're just going home, cause they know they're not gonna come back.
Crappy experience, so.
No,
Think how many underages that saved in Vermillion court system?
lost revenue.
Lost revenue. They're gonna be upset about that.
Somebody else will get them.
Yeah, there's plenty of counties around there that are complete idiots.
That will affect the restaurants and stuff down there, though, big time.
Yeah.
You start taking 8,000-10,000 kids out of town.
Just think about the bars. I mean,
Right?
what kind of revenue the old char bar does.
Amendments, then we'll move that up.
Friday, Saturday weekend,
Break. And report.
when it's nice out, people
Break
can
off.
off.
What do you think it's doing to Vegas then?
Yeah, we have to shut it down.
We are gonna do it again?
Yeah, yeah. I checked.
When in doubt.
New meeting.
First one was just a preference.
But we didn't have to do it for that?
Yeah.
I think we should. It's a separate meeting, so.
Technically, it's boys game on boys girl double headers, the second game. So.
Come on, son. Yeah.
No problem.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have some amendments to the agenda. For sure, the mayoral proclamation is going to be waived because they cannot attend today. I was looking at Bill bringing out the Lennox Fire, Volunteer Fire Department out of that and moving that up to the beginning because Nate had asked me to bring
The billing discussion.
Yep.
Yep.
And is there any others?
Recommend, I have 3 recommendations. Pull the proclamation. We'll postpone that. I don't see anybody here from the banks yet. I know Great Western wasn't going to be attending because of the precautions they're taking. So my recommendation is if nobody's here by that time, we simply move forward without it. Billing discussion, move that to A under new business. And the only other one is to break out the volunteer fire department 2019 annual report from the consent agenda.
Okay, so we'll move that on top of that. All right,
Motion to approve as amended?
all right.
Second.
Brock and Sam, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's go to the consent agenda. And have we go through that, and then we'll do the
Yeah,
fire.
visitors to be heard.
Visitors.
What's that?
Visitors to be heard.
Oh, sorry, visitors to be heard. Seeing none, we'll move on. Consent agenda,
Motion to approve.
Second?
okay. We'll go roll call. Billy?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Brock?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
And it's been approved, 6-0. Move on to the report.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I trust you guys have had a chance to read through the report. It's a down and dirty, real simple report, nothing making fancy. Do you guys want me to read it to you, or just hit the highlights, or you guys got any questions?
You just do the highlights.
Yeah.
Just highlight it, okay. Under the members there, I'd like to point out that we had 2 of them guys retire. Danny Abbas with 26 years and Keith Reef with 28 years. Like I said in there, their talents are going to be missed. It's hard to find guys that we don't have
met that many guys with that many years on like that anymore. Harold, he's got 49 years on there. Like I said, we cherish every one of them. So, under administration or in operations, as you all know, I took over the chief duties from Wayne Fisher, and I'd like to thank him for what he's done in the past for this department. And I've stepped into his shoes, and holy cow. It's a big job. So thanks to all my guys for their help, and thanks to you guys for your help for the transition there. Let's go maintenance. We still have. I'd like to give a big shout out to Scott and Earl. Those guys do a lot of work on them trucks down there, saving quite a bit of money. If we were to have a specialty fire truck guy come down, that costs a lot for their trips. So I'm very thankful for the talents that we have in the department. Pre-planning there, the 4th of July is a big event that we help out with. I was on a conference call with Nate and the rest of the guys there. We've already started that process again for this year. So I like to see it is getting bigger and bigger, and that's great. So training, we are constantly training every the second Tuesday of every month. Like I've stated before, you guys are more than welcome to come by. I'd highly encourage it. Swing on by and see what we're doing. Maybe you guys can learn something just as we do. I'm not going to spill the beans yet, but we are working on a very big training opportunity that's going to hopefully happen in a few months. If it does the way we hope it does, I would really like to see each and every one of you down there for one of the scenarios, because I think it'll be pretty eye-opening. You guys can learn a lot.
Is that planned to be here somewhere, or is it be?
In town here.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll let you guys know more later on. Emergency responses. You guys can refer to that chart there that Mike put together. You guys read down through all of them there. We've got a pretty wide array of calls that we go on. Anything from a chicken coop fire to a water rescue. You just never know what we do. So that's why these guys are always training. Be ready for anything. And then the call on that one there just kind of breaks it down even more for you. Equipment. Due to the, like I said there, due to the never mind seen flooding that we had this last year, guys had the forethought to buy some life jackets. So that way we're a little more safe around some of this stuff. We get pretty spooky there on one of the calls we had, so we decided we need to do that. We're continuing on with updating our bunker gear. We do a couple of them every year just so we can stay current, keep our guys in good gear. Good and welfare, we helped out with the rabies clinic, held a pancake fundraiser, which we are thinking about this year. It's coming up here. We're going to be making some decisions here shortly. That's not going to beat around the bush. That's a big hit if we don't have it. So we're not taking this decision lightly. We've also had our fire department dance. October, we visited the school down there with the fire safety house and taught the kids some more fire safety and had them practice crawling out of that house down there. Smoked it up with pretend smoke. They really enjoyed that. So, and just in conclusion, I'd like to thank our community and once again you guys for helping to support us and helping us to keep doing our job. So, with that, that's the down and dirty. Any questions from anybody here?
Are you looking at just backing off for pancake feet or having to cancel all the way?
I don't know.
Probably don't know yet.
I don't know yet.
I'm just curious.
Pots of 10.
Yeah, I really don't know yet. We're thinking. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You bet.
Have we, one question, we were gonna talk in maybe April or meet in terms of budget, or have we talked any farther about that?
I have, I've talked to the town. 3 of the 4 townships have gotten back to me, still waiting.
Okay,
So we're in the middle of it. Anything else?
The only thing I would add to that is that the FEMA grant was submitted.
Yep.
We have a last minute, I wouldn't quite call it a scare, but what do we do moment.
That was scary.
But it did end up getting submitted, thankfully, and we'll hear back on that. No, it's hard to say when, but
They extended the,
yeah.
submitting period another week because they were so backlogged because of the new efficient system that they have. So, that's that.
Thanks, Nate.
All right.
Thank you very much.
So Mayor, we should have a separate vote to accept the 2019 fire department annual report.
So moved. Second.
Sam and Chad, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. All right. Moving on to old business. Ordinance 607, adapting subdivision regulations.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the second reading of this ordinance, simply formally adopting the engineering design standards and subdivision regulations that were presented at the last regular meeting by Mr. Mergen. There have been no substantial changes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Jackson, Billy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Under new business, ambulance billing discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. So this comes to us at the request of the fire department, and something that I think we just need some direction on moving forward. So we were approached about a bill that was received by a community member who receives services of the ambulance department. I have shared with council who this was, but keep in mind this is HIPAA protected information, so I'm not naming any names here tonight. So back in 2019, Denise and I met with Kathy Kuchek of Ambil. That's who we contract with for billing our ambulance services. We gave them direction at that time to bill all individuals that receive the services of the ambulance. We didn't have any ordinances, resolutions, or other policies to support exempting anyone from those fees. We formalized that policy in the ambulance policies and procedures that we adopted back in December 2019, December 30, 2019 City Council meeting. So from my understanding, there's no policy in writing that certain individuals in the past were exempt from receiving a bill. In discussion with others, it sounds like there was more of a handshake gentleman's agreement in the past about this. I did reach out to other ambulance services through Ambil, and of the 14 that they bill, everybody receives a bill. There's no exemptions for anyone. So my recommendation is to continue the current ambulance billing policy established by those policies and procedures back in 2019.
We did have that gentleman's agreement that has went back a long time ago. It's been in place for a very long time. So,
Since the ambulance service was started.
yep, and I think part of this would be because of the communication that wasn't given, that this was in place. It's my pretty strong feeling that in this case, because it's kind of a eye-opener to them, it was unexpected. And I would still think that we should go on with having it submitted to the insurance, but if the insurance doesn't cover the whole rate, in honoring this before, and then we should bring up this subject again and discuss whether we're gonna have first responders, but it's up to you six to make up the final decision. But that's just my lean on this.
Can I speak on that, or not?
I usually don't allow, sorry.
Well, I just don't know any history. I mean, we've talked, a couple of council members have just talked about the history of where that started or when that started, and I don't know enough about it.
It started back when the ambulance first started, and it was anybody that was on the emergency services, the fire department, ambulance, and they included the council members in that.
What about police?
I don't know, that I don't know, but I do know it was those three.
So when it was, I guess one of my questions, you know, you were around then, or whatever. When it was originally set up, was it intended to be billed to the insurance first, or just,
It was just
we're gonna pay whatever
it
the
was,
cost
it was,
is?
it was a courtesy for providing, for being on the fire department, serving on the council.
Okay,
I didn't realize about the council part, but I knew that the fire department and ambulance were on that. What it seemed to me it went to was submission to insurance, and then the rest was given written off. But that again was not a formalized, but it was an understanding that we had, and it was a long-standing.
So what year was this understanding made?
Oh, Jackson.
Ambulance services started in 1975.
Yeah, so that's before I was around there. And then it was carried on, and I know it's been around for a long time. It's just been an
45 years.
So, again, this is one of these informal processes that we run across, and now we're running across it again. That it comes up, we formalize some things, and now we need to make a decision.
Well, legally speaking, if we voted and approved the fees for the ambulance service, do we have ways to give exemptions? I mean, if that's what we voted on and agreed to charge people, do we have a possibility to not?
Administratively, no, we don't. The council can certainly decide to go their own direction with that. You know, looking back at old minutes, I would compare it to something else. On a regular basis, we used to write off ambulance bills that were unpaid and that were uncollectible. And I would more than likely treat it something like that. Yeah, you have two
basically,
pieces of policy that recommend the fees.
So
The
basically it's
resolution that
something-
sets the fees, and then the policy that was approved prior.
So, I guess what I'm looking for in this case is my recommendation, whether you followed or not, is to waive it on this case and then to look at the whole process as a whole.
Well, I think if it's been around for 45 years and this all of a sudden, boom, I didn't realize we're getting this, I get that. I'm also an advocate for a human being as a human being, and if you're gonna use a service, you get charged for it. I just don't know where, and again, I would, I don't know if we can do this. I mean, I'm just a councilman representing Ward 2. And do my people in my ward see this as something to keep, which they could, and that's fine? Or is it not something? Because at the end of the day, the money, it isn't about really the money. That's, you're only gonna, how many of those are you gonna give in a certain year, right? It's just about a teacher's important, a farmer's important. I mean, where do you stop? I mean, they're all important jobs, I think. And that's what we gotta figure out. And if we do stay with this, then I do say it's in a policy and procedure, we have it in writing where this is what we're going to do, which is fine.
I guess, I tend to agree with Brock, I would maybe take it a step further. I personally don't see the problem in billing it to someone's insurance. Now, obviously, if something happens and those guys are on a call, right, they're covered. So that's completely different. This is an outside of that deal, and as you mentioned, this is probably not something that's gonna happen maybe every day, every week, or even every however many years, hopefully, for them.
Well, I would think at the very least it would get billed to insurance.
And that's, I guess that's, with this being all kinda new, like, we should probably think it through. But I agree with you. That's what
It
I
should
was
definitely be billed to insurance first. I mean,
And
that's what you pay for.
if we get feedback that, like you said, let's keep it, so be it. We write off, I guess, write off is the right word, write off the difference at that point.
And I didn't realize, I mean, in the discussion we've had, they talked fire, and my first question was, well, who else is exempt on that? Is like ambulance exempt on that? Is police exempt on that? No idea, myself as a councilman, and I don't expect that to be, if Am's gonna go pick me up, I'm gonna pay for the service.
Yeah,
But-
I agree.
Say that again?
The council members used to be.
Okay, yeah, we hadn't heard the council member
Never.
part before.
Yeah,
Ambulance.
But we can't unhear it.
And I hadn't heard of ambulance before. That's not something we've practiced in recent years.
I've been here just 4 weeks, or 4 years this week, and it hasn't happened in my tenure here.
Right.
Not for ambulance, not for fire, not for anybody, so
Right.
it's not something that happens
No.
very often.
Right.
And we hope it doesn't.
Exactly.
I would probably agree with you, Brock. I mean, given
Yeah,
the circumstances with this one, nobody really kind of blindsided most everybody. What do you do? It's not their fault,
Right.
so.
It's not. So I need a motion. And a second.
well, going forward after this one time, then what?
Well, I think we have a discussion with the
We need to look
community
into
on what they,
Yeah.
if they, I mean, if they feel like this is something that should stay, great, that's fine. If it's not, then we act accordingly.
And whatever it is, we make sure we communicate it with
Everyone.
the ambulance people, the fire department people, so they all know. Everybody's on the same.
And we
page.
write it down somewhere so we have record.
That'd be a good start, yeah.
I'll make a motion to waive any fee that this person would get after insurance wouldn't pick it up.
Okay, we have a motion, need a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, guys.
No problem. All right,
And then, can we go back to that? How are we gonna go about getting the community input on moving forward? How-
Well, I put it on the
We'll figure
agenda,
it
I
out.
suppose. Why don't we make that an agenda item for next time?
Yeah, it's the next year, next month.
Agenda, or
First
next meeting,
Next
whatever.
meeting, next meeting.
Yeah, who knows when that'll be.
sounds good. Well, we'll move on to selection of ballot order.
Okay. Thank you. So, I have dice, and everybody have their own dice, so we don't have to worry about sanitizing dice. Everything. Actually, you didn't, that was just luck.
Did they come from China?
Did the dishwasher?
Oh, yeah, you bring up a good point. Okay, so, what I'm gonna do is give everybody a dice, and then, we'll roll them, and then whoever gets the highest number is going to be, so the highest will be the first one on the ballot, and then so on and so forth, okay? So, actually, I'm gonna.
What if there's ties?
We roll.
Everybody or just the people who tied?
Alright.
Everybody.
So we can blow on this one.
You bet.
Give me a souvenir.
Somebody gonna roll for
It's all
the
yours.
John back there.
Oh, sorry. You're hiding. Let's see back there.
If Doherty isn't here,
Denise will roll for it.
Did he sign a proxy?
He did not.
What if
But he has a good reason for not.
What if he
I
wants
was gonna
Alan?
say, did you even
What if he wants Alan to roll
He's
for
back,
it?
but he can't go anywhere.
Okay, so did I get everybody now?
Where was he at?
They went on a vacation,
Okay.
got quarantined.
So,
Oh,
should we do
yeah.
mayor first?
Yeah.
Or do mayor
Costa Rica,
first?
I think,
I
right?
think that would work, yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
They are quarantined.
so,
Denise, what if the,
Where did he
the
go?
numbers tied?
Costa Rica, I think.
then if the numbers tie, then you'll have to, whoever's got the two same numbers will have to roll again.
That's different.
All right, one time.
Okay.
I want to find someplace comfortable.
Ready? I think you come up here so we got witnesses.
You're a witness.
Alan and Doherty.
I'm getting all my ones and twos out of the way.
You go first.
Seriously, it's 4-1.
This one might have been two.
Is it loaded?
Three.
Ooh, one.
Okay, so we got Jackson, Tracy, and Stacy. Okay.
Wow.
No shakes.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird, look at. I had put it that way.
Jackson, Tracy.
Jackson, yep, Jackson, Tracy, and
Okay.
Stacy. That was weird,
What were the chances? You just
right?
need a one and lose.
Okay, so then we've got Ward 2, let's do Ward 2. And I'm doing it.
All he gets ones or twos, I'm gonna need a different
All
die.
Ready? Sure.
Never met anybody who practiced.
I guess it's.
Get Mark Samuels out of the way.
Alright. Okay,
Good practice, Chad.
alright, Ward 3.
I'm gonna keep this one.
With this. Oh, Okay, what do we got?
We'll do one.
Alright.
No, yeah.
Alright,
I was
so
almost
you
gonna
got
say-
3, so you'll be
I go
first.
with Jackson's vote.
Alright. 2,
I lost last year.
okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're down to the presentation from Valley. They are not
No.
here.
I think we're just gonna have to move it.
COVID-19 is our next one.
Thank you, Mayor. You have in front of you just a quick updated copy of the policy we approved on, the plan we approved on Friday night. Had a good opportunity to talk with somebody with expertise in the field and had some feedback on that over the weekend. The highlighted sections on the last 2 pages are what I'm suggesting we update tonight. Should be just the second to last page is the only one with updates. Now, the major impact here is that if anybody is a confirmed case on staff, they're not working unless they're working remotely. That comes to be a big challenge in public works. We need to run the plant, we need to, we have snow coming Thursday night and Friday. So those are some concerns of ours. What I'd like to do is at least start having discussions with surrounding communities on sharing public works resources if it comes to that. So that's something I'll start doing this week yet. But in the meantime, we just need to update it so that we're clear and following the Department of Health's recommendations and requirements in some cases.
With this highlighted Lincoln County.
Yeah.
Did you have Lincoln, did you have
was
Lennox? It was, yeah.
And the way they're tracking this, we will probably find out if it's in Lennox, but officially they're only confirming the county, so
Need a motion to approve this?
we do.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, second discussion. I was gonna just bring up one thing. I talked with Todd at Sunshine earlier today. And one of the things that he was willing to do is if he gets volunteers to do, and I said I would, and others can, to do delivery of groceries to the home of the people that are most susceptible and vulnerable to this disease. So he said he's got gloves. I asked him about the protocol, we can go through and do that. But he was willing to set that up to keep our most vulnerable people safe. So that's the addition I have, thanks to Todd and Sunshine. They deliver on Thursdays usually, but I think you would make some exceptions with this for what's going on. Okay. So, we got the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. April meeting schedule.
Thank you, Mayor. Our first regular meeting on Monday, April 13, may need to be rescheduled. We'll leave that up to the council to make a decision there. As a city, we follow the South State's schedule for administrative days or holidays. The state has declared Friday, April 10 and Monday, April 13 as administrative holidays around Easter. And our offices will be closed. Tuesday, the 14th is election day, making that day less than ideal for a regular meeting. Additionally, the city council must canvass the election results no more than 7 days after the election. So I would recommend holding the regular meetings on April 6 and April 20.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Personnel. Ambulance director exempt classification.
Thank you, Mayor. The issue on this one is the ambulance director is eligible as an exempt salaried position under the Fair Labor Standards Act. This issue is a bit of a challenge to address given the uncertainties of the future and the variety of the past. Ambulance calls go up and down, staffing is up and down. As council is aware, the overtime costs in the ambulance department have risen steadily over the past few years, and the hourly wage of the position isn't consistent with the competitive wages in the region. Leaves us with 2 issues to resolve and the overall benefit of taxpayers and the position. First, as overtime costs grow, we risk losing ground on the goal of reducing the ambulance department's annual loss. And second, as our demand for EMS grows, recruitment for medics continues to hamper the availability of staff. We risk overworking and burning out whoever may occupy that position, Alan right now. So in determining a course of action to mitigate both of those and kind of find a point at which we can ease both of those burdens, looked into the option of converting the position to an exempt or a salary position. There are some special restrictions around first responders as far as the Fair Labor Standards Act is concerned. But given that a significant portion of this position's duties are exempt, equivalent, or management activities, it does allow an exempt status. So doing so would allow additional flexibility for the director, while also ensuring that overtime costs don't continue to grow significantly year after year. The chart on page 2 kind of shows what we're at right now and what we paid last year against what Canton and North Sioux City did as well. Canton has slightly fewer calls than we do. North Sioux City is about the same, if I remember. Canton slightly more. Yeah. North Sioux City is an exempt position at 36 hours a week. So my recommendation would be declare the position as exempt and provide a salary of $60,000 a year.
So moved.
Motion by Jackson,
Second.
second by Chad Wolf.
I think it should be more. I think it should be $65,000. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Think it should be more?
Yep.
All right, so I'll amend my motion to that.
To 65?
Can I ask a question first? Is that, Alan, are you okay with moving to an exempt position?
Sure. Either way, the job's gonna get done, so.
The way that was posed to Al, the way Alan answered that when I asked was, I'm showing up anyway.
And I can pretty much guarantee that I'm not gonna be a 40-hour a week employee.
No.
I mean, that's just, even at exempt status, I'm not
Right.
gonna be, it's not
No,
the nature of the
I know
job,
that, but I wanted to
so.
make sure that everything, you were okay with it more than anything.
So you're amending your original motion to
Yes,
what
to
Rob said?
65,000, okay.
I would amend my second.
Any further discussion? We will call vote. Billy?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Brock?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. B, hire seasonal staff.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, we budgeted several seasonal positions for Park and Rec in 2020. We're going to be utilizing inmate labor as well as full-time seasonal lead groundskeeper for groundwork throughout the summer. Did learn today that the individual we have on here for lead groundskeeper may have more ability earlier in the year than we had planned on. So that effective date on that hire is earlier than the rest. There's plenty of work to complete before the year officially starts, and he's willing to take hours as they're available. And he can take that with, what I had here is school and extracurricular schedules, but those are few and far between right now, so. We'll also hire several full and part-time lifeguards for the new swimming pool. We'll select a lead lifeguard, potentially 2 from those hired. We've had a hard time getting applicants that are water safety instructor certified. We only have 1 of those, though I think we got a second one today that just came in, so those are the ones that can do swimming lessons. So if we don't get more of those, we'll train a few more of these to be in those positions. So the list in front of you, we'll just read through quick. Camden Wolf, lead groundskeeper at $13 an hour, effective 3/1/2020. Caleb Johnson, lifeguard at $12 an hour, 5/1/2020. The wages and dates for the rest of these are about the same, so I'll just read the names. All lifeguards: Caitlin Hilligus, Brianna Filippi, Joshua Arlt, Jackson Arlt, Caleb Metcalf, Jenica DeCou, Riley Williams, and Drew Kuiper. We will have more likely the next meeting.
Is any of these gonna be like a head guard?
Well, at least one of them will be.
Okay.
Potentially 2. Justin and I are talking through the possibility of having 2 so that no matter who's there, at least we have a lead on duty at all times.
Do you think we have enough park help with just hiring one individual with the inmate labor?
We think so right now. Talk it through with Justin, talk it through in the interview with Cannon as well. We think it can be done, it's just a matter of scheduling it correctly. What's gonna be more difficult is the on-call schedule, making sure that events in the evenings or weekends are staffed. So, I think if we need to, we've got a fair number of lifeguard applicants here that we can always assign within parks and pay them accordingly. Want to commend Justin to it, he's not here tonight, but within the first, I think, couple of weeks, he had Vermillion Parks and Rec up here where he had interned, giving several suggestions for staffing and equipment, so on and so forth. But one of the more interesting parts of that discussion was, Vermillion said, if it's a rain day, keep your lifeguards around, have them help with whatever else needs done around there's no shortage of parks work that needs to be done throughout the summer, so if the pool's closed or it's just a light day of swimmers, staff them somewhere else.
Motion to approve seasonal staff.
Second. Second. Okay, further discussion? I'm gonna do a roll call on this one. Chadwell?
Abstaining.
Rock?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Chad? Aye. Jackson?
Aye.
Billy?
Aye.
Motion carries 5 to 1 abstaining. All right. Anything in the exec? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. Brian beat you, cheater. Oh, he gave it to me. Rock around, all in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. We are in adjournment.